bebree ebusia ye wo awem bia na kyese ye de ensem free parliament na kyese aba na eno na kyese eye parliament kyese eye finance minister omra emonte so emfa eye mini quarters budget enfambra na ensem no aye bebree wo parliament eye minority leader ato force in ekeka ensem state team na yenkotie ensem ni bi
there because the finance minister is expected to be there and present the mini budget for the first quarter of 2025. It is what will enable salaries and other critical remunerations and payments be made. There's been a back and forth over the last 4 days about whether or not Parliament should consider that business first before all other things. Yesterday, we know that the minority leader, Dr. Kese3, was sounding the warning that the finance minister could be prosecuted if he failed to turn up. Noble Crosby Annan is my colleague in the legislature. Let's find out from him what the development is on the floor of the House. Crosby, any firm word that this bill or appropriation will be laid before Parliament for possible approval?
Well, Mawina, until the finance minister appears to the House to do what is expected of him, we cannot say for certain that he will be here. And I'm saying this because for the past couple of days, since Monday to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there were some forms of assurances that the finance minister will be coming on any of those days to present the mini budget. But before the House adjourns, the finance minister does not show up. And all that creates a lot of arguments between the minority side of the House.
That's the internet connection. It's not been favorable. But let's hear from a number of legislators who've been speaking to the concern and the real threat should that process not be laid on the floor of the House today.
Expenditure lines that will necessarily have to be taken care of within the first quarter, and it's customary, it's as if it's part of protocol or feature, but there's a template, so there's no hard and fast rule about it. The figures are already known. It's about 68.5 billion. The president has already submitted, pursuant to the constitutional imperatives, he's already submitted the estimates for the judiciary and the judicial service. He's also submitted that for the audit service and submitted that for parliament and the parliamentary service, which are all now for parliament. What's outstanding is the expenditure for the generality of the public sector, which the finance minister will submit, will present later today. But the figure, as I said, is about 68 billion for the first quarter. So that's in order. It is to take care of necessary expenditures like wages of workers, as well as other expenditures to be contributed in the new budget for 2025.
There's been a lot of delay in the coming of the finance minister. Are you almost certain that today will be the day he appears?
Well, like I said before, this is a constitutional imperative pursuant to Article 180 of the Constitution. It's such a function that you don't take lightly. We have been concerned about the inordinate delay because this has been sitting on our other paper for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and yesterday, and yet it wasn't taken. So if you recall, yesterday their leadership and some other senior members of the government side on the floor had to practically implore the House that will be done today.
So as Parliament, it behoves on us to also ensure that we approve budget for next year, the first quarter of next year. If that does not happen, it means that Ghanaians will not be paid and it will hit their homes and hit their pockets. So we have to do that. We are expecting that today that should happen before we rise. So I'm full of confidence that it will happen. Every MP here, it should be our responsibility that we make sure that happens today. The government side of business government side will have to present their business, and we have to support the budget so that we make sure that Ghanaians will be assured of their livelihood, come next year.
Some NDC MPs there reacting to whether or not the finance minister will be present in the House today. Noble Crosby-Annan is still my colleague. He was seeking to provide a bit more for us before the connection truncated. Crosby, walk us through it again. We've heard from the NDC MPs who expect the minister to be here for the appropriations to be laid, but a bit more.
Right, so just like we heard from the NDC MPs, however, the concern is that the majority side of the House may want to shelve this maybe until the latter part of the day, because that is what has been going on since Monday. Here, among the things that have been happening in the House for the past couple of days is that the majority side of the House, they want Parliament to look at the approval of these Supreme Court justices that have already been vetted. They want the House to look at some loan agreements, about $250 million. They want the House to pay attention to some $350 million in terms of tax waivers for the One Addition, One Factory initiative. But this is not happening for the minority. They are not having any of this. They want the expenditure and backup appropriation to be laid before the House. They think that is the most important thing to do in the House before the House rises for the Christmas holidays. We're keeping our fingers crossed that eventually the finance minister will come and will present the mini budget. But earlier was the majority side of the House in some form of a caucus meeting, talking amongst themselves on how the day is going to be like, or making arrangements or agreements on what should happen. But as we can see also in the House, members of Parliament have begun chipping in, and a handful of them have already arrived and are seated. I can see some members also on the minority side of the House as well. Session was expected to begin at 11 a.m. That was announced by the Speaker while he adjourned yesterday. But as we speak, minutes after 12, session is yet to begin. But the anticipation or the expectation is that in the next couple of minutes, sitting will begin. I could also mention that Parliament is also expecting the Education Minister to answer questions that provide some clarity in relation to government indebtedness to WIAC. Now, some 25 million fees have been paid, but the minority are telling us that that is roughly inadequate. When the statement was made in Parliament on Wednesday, I believe, the Education Minister asked for a few days or asked for a day to go through the report and then respond to the concerns. He was not in Parliament yesterday, so that did not happen. Hopefully we see him in Parliament today and he responds to the concerns as raised by the ranking member on the Education Committee. So that is what we expect in Parliament today, Mawena.
Crosby, thank you for those details. That's my colleague Noble Crosby-Annan from Parliament for us this afternoon. And so we get the indication that there will be answers from the Education Ministry.